Sports fans, fans of the 1992 300ZX twin turbo, nicknamed Little Red. Hey, thank you for watching the About a Z and the Land channel. We're back here for a tech mod upgrade project for the Z. We're going to be installing this AEM temperature gauge. Actually, we're using it. It could be used as an oil temp. We're going to be using it as a coolant temp gauge. We previously did a intro clip for this, and then got into the project just only barely and found out that we weren't going any further. And the reason that we couldn't go any further, I'll show you. So you see the fittings that come with this. This is the actual sensor I'm holding in my hand. So I believe this is I forget what this size is. I want to say 7/8, not exactly sure. However, this does not fit the upper coolant pipe on the Z, which is also the output. So where you read the temperature of the coolant is on the output of the engine, which is the top pipe. That does not fit. It comes, the AEM gauge comes with two barrel fittings. That one is too big, and that one is too big. So both of those are too big for the coolant pipe in the Z. We thought, hey, this is going to be great. We'll just pull out the temp sensor that's currently in the upper radiator coolant pipe, insert this new sensor for the AEM digital gauge, and we'll be wiring it up with this harness. Wrong, that didn't happen. So we came back to Nick Lessem of Concept Z Performance, who is one of the top gurus on these Z32 twin turbos in probably the world. He writes a lot of wikis that he puts on, they post on the CZP website for everything from fuel pressure control unit bypass and fuel system. You name a system on the car, they probably have a wiki describing all what that system is, the troubleshooting procedures, what to do if you find certain conditions, including workarounds, etc. So I emailed Nick and said, hey, this is what the problem I'm having. And he said, yeah, those gauges are universal, but that doesn't mean they fit every vehicle. And what he pointed me to was this. So here in front of the camera, you see this Mishimoto inline water temperature sensor housing. Push the limits with Mishimoto. And so this was pointed out to us by Nick. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to hold the camera and show you that this sensor that comes with the AEM gauge screws right in. Now how this works, this is an inline sensor housing, is we have a couple of used upper radiator coolant hoses that we're not using on the Z. We're going to use one to mock this up. But basically what happens, I'm going to set the camera down here and kind of show you. What happens is we're going to take this, so this actually connects to the radiator on this side. This side connects to the coolant pipe. And what we're going to do and how this has to work, and you see that there's not a lot of room to work, is basically this inline has to fit on this into this hose, or actually in this hose, and then enough hose on the other side to fit onto the coolant pipe. Now that's not a no-brainer. It's a brainer. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it. This is a really cool fitting though, and it's not ugly. I would probably put it in this fashion here, so you can see the M and have the sensor coming off the side. We don't want it sticking straight up in the air, and then we'll just route that cable as quietly as possible out of the way, and then through the firewall, and wire that into the kick panel fuse box, which that's coming up. We'll be doing that. But the first thing we have to do is mock up this hose. Take the hose that's currently on the Z off, mock this one up. We have two shots at it. This is a really nice hose right here. I didn't really want to Gita it up, but we're not really using this one right now because it's a brighter shade of red than what the powder coating on the Z motor, which would be the throttle cable cover, the valve covers, the balance tube. All of those are powder coated by Color Fast Powder Coating in Oklahoma City, who I'm a huge fan of their work, and they've been great to me and really done some great work for Little Red. So we're using a different hose that's closer to that color. So we're going to use this red hose that you see here as our mock-up. So we're gonna try to figure out exactly how much hose, because we're going to need some on this end. This fitting really isn't going to fit in this bend that easily, so we got some work to do here. But once we mock this up and we put this on and this mocked up hose fits and we're happy with the fitment, then we're going to take the hose that's currently on the Z and cut it and basically duplicate what we've done with this one. So that's the first step. The second step will be to take the harness and the gauge. We're going to cut these posts on the back off with our Dremel tool because we're going to be mounting this flat against the dash on the left hand side of the steering column, kind of just basically just right below and the closer to the driver from the current location of the what I call dummy gauge. It's a needle gauge. It's not a dummy gauge, meaning that only a light comes on when you're in trouble. It's a needle gauge. It's inaccurate. It just tells you, hey, if it's in the middle, the car's operating at normal temperature. If the needle goes up, it's getting hot. Well, that's not good enough for us. Not with the brand new motor. We want to know exactly what the temperature is, and with this digital gauge, we're going to be able to read the coolant temp exactly. So that's the whole purpose for this. Don't trust the old needle gauge in the 31-year-old gauge cluster. It may be off by, I don't even know. Don't even know how to interpret it. I just know that there are conditions where that needle goes up and you're like, oh no, the Z's hot. Well, how hot is it? We need to know because we might want to shut the motor off. If it was too hot, we'll might pull over and turn the motor off, or put on the heater and try to vent heat out of the engine compartment. So things like that. But so you see what we're up against. So our first thing, we're going to mock up a hose and we're going to go from there. So there's going to be more clips. This is the first one. We'll show you once we get it mocked up and on, then we'll show you how we're going to route this harness into through the firewall, and how we're going to wire this digital gauge into the kick panel fuse box. We think we've already picked a fuse that we're going to jumper using really cool jumpers that we got off of Amazon that we're currently using now for the AEM GPS speedo and boost gauge. Both of those are being jumped using these really cool jumpers that plug in just like a fuse, and then you plug the fuse into it. It has a lead plus 12 volt wire that then you jumper. In this case, we're going to jumper this red wire to that red wire on the jumper, and I'll show you all that. If you watch the previous installs of the GPS speedo and then subsequently the AEM boost gauge, that's how we did it. We're going to do it again. Yes, the fuse box down there in the kick panel area is getting kind of busy, but this is really the last gauge we're going to put in, aftermarket gauge we're going to put in the Z. So that should be it. Yeah, it's kind of messy down there, but we're doing the best job we can, the cleanest job we can, or the best tech that we can lay our hands on. So anyway, watch for more clips as we get further into this project. We'll shoot it and then we'll show you the finished product when we get to the end. All right, thanks for watching.